Nah, bro, when you was on my show last, and we went off on a tangent for like 27 minutes straight talking about whatever we was talking about. It's one of my favorite parts out of any of my episodes. We were talking about, I don't know, casinos and women getting pushed off the sides of boats, and then there was like a beat and a half in the conversation. You went, race.
This whole a good 60% of this podcast. You see the flag behind you. You know what it is.
We know what time it is.
Yeah.
Oh, K-Dot.
Yeah. Race. When I think about Black History Month, I have mixed feelings.
Okay.
On one end, I understand and appreciate the you celebrate and focus on one thing in particular. Mm-hmm. And that's not just with Black History Month. That is with any...
Sure.
Yeah, any group is fun to take a second and be like, hey, let's take it some time to emphasize you and what you've brought to the table. In my own personal life,
sure.
Anything that I think we talked about where I grew up in my
California, right?
Yeah, Riverside, California,
yeah.
Racism, that whole thing. Mm-hmm. And then I remember you military, you were all over the place.
Yeah.
And it definitely colored your perspective on race and dynamics.
Sure, yeah.
Like tribalism.
Sure, yeah.
For me, where I grew up, anytime something positive happened with Black people, my life got harder. So the best example I can give is Barack Obama becoming president.
Sure, yeah.
When he became president, oh my God, they were so mad, and they like it every time, for every year when I was a kid, Black History Month would come around, and as excited as I wanted to be, as I got to learn about my history to some degree, people get, well, that's kind of racist that why isn't there a White History Month on the thing, and. I'm so glad we're just jumping into it like this.
Yeah.
I'm trying to not. These past 3 years in Chicago, I've developed a real healthy friend group. Yeah. Black friend group in particular, so I don't have to deal with that anymore.
Okay.
And my feelings about, just to bring it full circle, my feelings about Black History Month are, it makes me sad that we need a Black History Month.
It makes sense.
Yeah. What are your feelings about Black History Month?
I don't give me the line about specifically what was in it, but I distinctly remember writing a book report or a report in school. It must have been 5th or 6th grade, and I was like, I don't see the value in it. I don't want it. And this was a 5th or 6th grade mind, right? Writing about whatever was going on in my brain at the time, but I didn't like the separatism of it, right? And in the overall I just saw something with Morgan Freeman where he was like, racism's gonna be around and be a topic as long as we're talking about it.
Okay.
As long as it's being brought up, but with Black History Month, like I particularly, I think in many ways see like your angle, and I think a lot of people's angle, like why not just make it history?
Yeah.
Like it should just be all being a part of it. And the fact that it is separated into a month, like really? Can you encapsulate an entire culture into a month? I doubt it. Can you just weave it into the curriculum? Sure, along with everything else. Like I don't like to make it a standalone thing creates its own opposition to it.
Yeah, I guess then why is there opposition to it is my next question. Why do white people get so mad about it?
Sure, but why? So if you're, and I can only imagine, but if you're, oh, look at that. Somebody's interested in contacting me. But I don't know, like, would you think that some people would be mad at it?
In my experience, yeah.
Right? And like when you think of why they would be, what comes to mind?
I'm speaking specifically of white people. What comes to mind is just what they would say. So what
Sure.
they would say is why it's racist to have a Black History Month and not a White History Month.
Sure.
My personal retort to that is history was white history.
Sure.
From my experience. I think the other reason is it makes them feel bad.
Okay.
I think that usually with Black History Month comes the discussion of slavery, comes the discussion of civil rights, comes the discussion of Black Lives Matter, so on and so forth. And white people don't like to feel bad.
Okay.
And when they feel bad, they get very, very angry.
Okay. Let me ask you, if we take the two primary color palettes off the board, take black and white and remove it.
Shirt?
Huh? Yeah.
Okay.
Now, if we take black and white off the board and we both came from Asian households, which means we've been in America since the gold rush, since the railroads being built all the way to San Francisco. If you were Japanese and you were put in internment camps when, World War II happened or started, and there was what happened in Hawaii with the kamikaze pilots?
Pearl Harbor.
All that, you know what I mean? So if
you were in the Air Force,
if we were, but I wasn't there.
I don't know. I don't teach you about Pearl Harbor.
I was like, holy shit! Did they run out of gas?
But we're Asian.
But yeah. So we come from an Asian household.
Yeah.
Could we not have the same conversation, right? We're going to be like, okay, when's Asian History Month? And not only when is Asian History Month, but if I'm Japanese, don't just put me in a box with Chinese people, Cambodian people, Filipino people. Like there's what, 11 months after, left after you get rid of February?
Yeah.
There's a few more groups in 11. So, but I still, like, if I'm going to school, if I'm putting, a child through school or whatever, learn about Asians, learn about South Pacific Asians, learn about anybody, Pacific Islanders, learn about Mexico, learn about Puerto Rico, learn about all of that, and don't just give me. Then on the same token, here's what really bugs me though, right?
Okay.
Because we're in the eye of the storm because we're black.
Yeah.
And it's African American History Month or whatever it is, right? And I don't see the value, but when it's Puerto Rican Day Parade or whatever, I'm like, hell yeah, let's go to Puerto Rico. Like I want to go down there and get some no. But at the same time, I like seeing it when it's Mexican independence. I don't give me the line which one they actually hold value in, if it's Cinco de Mayo, if it's their Mexican Independence Month, and they're out there and they're celebrating. There's flags all over the place, like hoods of cars. I'm like, hell yeah, that's dope to see that. That's dope to see them flying their banners. So I can also understand, like, on the outside looking in, it's like, what are y'all crying about? Like, take your month, enjoy that. It's the topic of conversation.
Yeah, I think as a person that's lived outside the country, you're gonna have to tell me if I'm wrong here.
Okay.
But America is a very unique space in the melting pot concept.
Sure, yeah.
That when you go to Japan, you're probably dealing with predominantly Japanese
over 90%.
Right. So they're all kind of on the same page in that regard. Mm-hmm. You go to England, you're dealing with British people. You go to India, you're dealing with Indians.
Yeah.
America has this, I don't call it a melting pot because I don't think we melt. I think it's more of a stew, but that's different.
Okay. Little gumbo action?
Yeah, like Chicago's gumbo. As you see the south side, the west side,
Shy Gumbo. That's our new podcast.
It's all in the it's all in the pot of Chicago.
Yeah.
And I think in order for that idea to work, you need to learn how to take turns. And you need to be able to humble yourself and know when to shut the fuck up.
Sure.
So, for example, the Me Too movement. I looked at that. My knee-jerk reaction to the Me Too movement was, I ain't do nothing. God damn it. Hey, don't blame me for nothing.
Sure.
And then I took a second and I humbled myself and I listened to all these stories of women that were close to me, and I was like, oh, this is really important, and it's something I'm not.
Sure.
I should shut the fuck up and listen.
Sure.
When I know we have some sort of Asian Heritage Month and Gay Pride Month and all that stuff. During those times, I look at it as a moment to celebrate, to shut the fuck up,
Sure.
give you a chance to speak. And so
It's like Christmas with the little red bucket. It's like, all right, let me go ahead and
the little red bucket.
Yeah, you know, when you give them money outside of like Michael's or Office Depot, and you're like, all right,
here's your time. Here's your moment. Here's my change. It's complicated. It's complicated.
It is complicated, and I don't think there is a right answer. What I would say is not unnerving, but what's probably, and I think I've been talking about it on stage a little bit, is I don't think like language police or stopping people from saying certain things gets rid of vibes, gets rid of racism. I think it really just moves it indoors. So if you're a progressive young Caucasian American, you know, kid, and you're going to whatever university that it is, and you say all the right things, you let anybody identify as whatever in your email signature, it says he, him, or whatever, and you play by all the rules. When you go home with your family and have dinner and you're with your pops, he's still a wild boy inside the house over y'all's little turkey and gravy and grits and whatnot, going like, do you see this? You see this shit? All right. Well, hey, all right, look, Jokic is playing tonight. So we're about to turn on the TV because white boys is running the NBA right now. Hooray! Not since Larry Bird.
Either, right? I don't watch the NBA. That's the dude who's like, this is my job. And then he just...
He could care less. He's been a phenom. He was playing professional basketball in wherever he's from since he's like 13 years old. Came over here and joined the league. He's like 17, 18. And then as far as I know, he eats ice cream sundaes all throughout the week and then just drops 70 points.
What do you think it's like to be like an Eddie Murphy or this guy? Just someone who just you just are. Like, do you think it's a happier existence? Do you think it's happier to be like a Kobe, who, not get me wrong, but has the like, this is a passion. I almost would prefer to be someone who works hard.
If you can't turn it off at all,
that's the exhausting part.
Yeah, you'll go down as a legend, but you sacrifice
so much.
Everything. You sacrifice a normal life. Did you see? There was one time Michael Jackson rented out a supermarket and hired actors.
I heard about this, yeah.
And then just walked around to be, for him being normal was like, it was like backwards. It was like you live on the world with everybody's Superman, and then one day you're like, let me be Clark Kent.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, who's the goofy dude walking with glasses on?
You know what's funny? The past 3 years, I've finally clicked into that type of happiness. The happiness of the enjoy. I mean, irony that this thing is called Joy in the Journey, but enjoying the journey of all of this. It used to be like pre-Chicago. My mindset was get to the top of the mountain as fast as possible, and now, ironically, I think that mindset is what keeps you away from the mountain. The more I've let go and the more I just enjoy what this is, the faster I seem to move.
Sure. I think a lot of it has to do with goal setting, right? And then what you're willing to do for those goals and how much you're willing to put to the side. Like for real, I don't think somebody like a Kobe Bryant has friends. I watched the Michael Jordan The Last Dance. There's no time for nothing else.
For no happiness.
No happiness at all. Like you're so passionate that you're gonna punch your teammate dead in the face and then throw him the ball to hit the game-winning shot. Yeah. And you don't even see the difference in the two. Like that's I dig it, but I don't. I think you're absolutely born with that. Like Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Michael Jackson, Larry Bird. Pick somebody, you know what I mean? I don't think whatever avenue, if they grew up on a farm, they would have been the best farmer. If you took Elon Musk and his dad was a bass fisher, he would have there'd be some brand new fishing rod that's like phenomenal.
Right. I have a word for it. I call it the spark. If you have the spark.
Yeah.
This thing that, like, depending on where you put it, it's just going to latch onto it. Yeah, I get you.
I call it a touch of the tism.
Ooh. I like yours more. I like the alliteration.
You got a little touch of the tism.
Because if it's too much tism.
If it's too much tism. Look, we're in the Chicago comedy scene. Yeah. You've seen the people that got too much of the tisms. Yeah, we all have the tism.
Yeah, we have tism.
We have the tism. Mm-hmm. If you got 51 and beyond of the tism, good luck to you. If you got a manageable tism, 49 and below. Yeah. But here's the other part is that I think somebody like a Jordan has 99% tism, but it's a 1 in 100 million specific type of tism.
Do we count LeBron?
No, not at all. He's a goofy bastard.
Oh Lord.
Yeah. Not him as a person, but all right. So here's, boom, perfect.
Okay.
In all the arguments, I'm not the basketball aficionado, and I don't pay attention as much as I used to. The reason we love collectively as a group of people Jordan over LeBron,
because you're old.
Certainly is because I'm from the latter 1900s, sure. But it's because Jordan is a killer. We respect killers. Like when you see Jordan, he's demoralizing to people. He's mean. That's who we want to be. Like when you think about the Marvel superheroes, if you're, for the most part guys, you want to be like Wolverine. He's on the good guy squad, but who wants to be fucking Ant-Man? Cyclops is LeBron James. He's a good team captain. He makes sure everybody gets to bed on time. Yeah. Wolverine wants to stab him in the chest and take his girlfriend.
So you want there's the I'm gonna do the thing. There's an attitude that is respected. There's a energy that's being put out.
We want to be the killer. We want to be. Would you rather be John Wick, or like would you rather be the guy that like makes all the gadgets for James Bond?
100% John Wick.
Of course.
Well, all right. See, now as I get older, though, I'm like, let me be Gadget Man away from the bullets. Well,
that's LeBron. I want everybody here. Here, you get the watch that shoots the dart. Here, you get the bubble gum that turns into a bomb. Here, I'm gonna hand it to everybody. Like LeBron, like he passes the ball to Dwayne Wade to hit the game-winning shot. Now we all walk away with the ring, but when it was Jordan time. Everybody knows who it's going to. The entire team. They brought bench players off. The coach would hop on the court and try and block the ball. It doesn't matter who you put in front of him and what you do. He's John Wick with a pencil in a casino surrounded by 100 bad guys.
But it sounds like you have respect for it. But I think deep down, you, like we were saying, he's miserable. You don't want to be.
Yeah.
You respect it, but you don't want to be it.
Yeah, I feel like this is facetious. This is going off but I feel like I could be LeBron on a level. I'm not tall enough to be LeBron. He's a physical specimen, of course.
Yeah, of course.
But pause. I've been watching Cam and Mace. But he is an everyman. I don't look to be him. Michael Jordan has something that I wasn't born with that I envy. LeBron James, he's a helpful. He's a nice guy.
It's interesting.
I probably would get along and have a conversation about all the books he actually didn't read with LeBron. Michael Jordan wouldn't want to talk to me.
No, he'd be.
And if I did talk to him, I'd be like, he's a bummer, dude. like I beat him in thumb wrestling, and he's calling me at 2:40 in the morning to run it back for $100,000. This guy is crazy.
it is a great insanity. True
It is.
insanity.
It truly. It's an insanity that I envy because I want the end results of what he has, but I don't want the sacrifices that he had to make to get them.
Now, to bring this into comedy, there's clearly a lot of sacrifices for comedy.
Sure.
What makes what you're doing in terms of sacrifice different than? Oh boy, this is such a weird comparison, but different than Michael. Because there's sacrifices that come in both ends.
You take all right. So who's the Michael Jordan, LeBron James of comedy? Michael Jordan. I would put somebody like a Chris Farley in there. I would put somebody like a Richard Pryor in there. Yeah, I'm also a student of the game. These are names that you should also know, my friend.
I know both of them.
Of course.
We were playing the comedy game.
Of course. We can,
Lenny Bruce. Nigga.
All right. So Lenny Bruce. I'd put Lenny because I went and watched his. I went to watch his one man show. But yeah, he was a game changer as well, and I think it was in him because he was getting arrested. Yeah. He was a heroin addict. He died on the fucking toilet, naked and alone,
like a real comedian should.
Like a true comedian should. And he didn't have a choice. It was in him. Yeah. There was something beyond him that was going to push him to do that. And the absolute greatest ones have that. Who's the LeBron James of comedy? I hope to cut a check with those people, so I'm not going to mention their names because I'm calling them lesser thans.
I'll speak.
All right, let me hear.
LeBron James of comedy, based off of the way you describe it, is Kevin Hart.
You're absolutely right.
Oh, okay. Well,
you're absolutely right.
Argue. No.
You're absolutely right. I would also put him. I think so. I think what the reason when. If you go below Roosevelt and you're on the South Side, the reason why you go to a barbershop and you see the black comedy poster up and it's got Chris Rock, it's got Cat Williams, it's got all the kings of comedy, Bernie Mac, of course, and Kevin Hart's never on there, is because we root for the underdog in America. America's culture is we root for the underdog, we build you up, then we tear you down. And then, all right,
if you build up,
good luck on this next one. We're pulling for you. And if you don't rise out of the ashes, we're gonna forget about you. But if you do, you're bulletproof, and now you're here. You're good to go. He's risen to such a level that he's no longer the underdog. The underdog is. Mike and Pam's gift shop down the street. It's not Walmart.
Right.
But which one do you go to when you need to get cheap toilet paper? You go to Walmart, but nobody's going to wear a Walmart shirt. You're going to wear a Mike and Pam's gift shop shirt.
Yes. By the way, I understand the comparison we're making. I do want to say, though, for the record, I do think Kevin Hart is hilarious. I think he's a great comedian.
Of course he is. When he was still the underdog,
my bad. I need to call my grandma after this.
No, me too. Yeah. When Kevin Hart was still the underdog and everybody on planet Earth had the Soul Plane bootleg movie and everybody on planet Earth was walking around going, all right.
Yeah.
That was when he was still on the black barbershop comedy poster.
Do you know how many girls have made me give pineapple as the...
Of course.
So many.
And then what happened? He hit a certain threshold of success, and people was like, you don't speak for us anymore. And who still speaks for us? Who's that guy that just got beat up by a seventh grader? Who's that guy that's still calling out the Illuminati?
We're here now.
Who's that guy with the nappy dreadlocks? All right, he's still playing a pimp. All right, he's a new captain. He's still an underdog. Hey, mark my words. He just did what, 50, 60 mils on Club Shay Shay. He won Supervisor. Let him do 3 movies this year that are successful and get a Disney movie. Mm-hmm. It's over. We're going to be looking at the next. Then all of a sudden, he's going to hit a certain threshold of success, and people are going to get disconnected from that, and we're going to look for the next underdog.
I have a question for you about that, the Cat Williams stuff, but this part of it specifically.
Okay.
The dress stuff.
Yeah.
The wearing a dress. Of all the things he said, minus him, I read 3,000 books and all.
Oh, Jesus.
I don't really care about that stuff. But
how could you? When was the last time you met somebody that counted to the number 3,000? Let alone read that many fucking books. You know how big that number is, bro?
That's crazy. It's really crazy. Did you see the video of him running?
Come on,
That was a real video.
Yeah,
the YMCA, shirtless.
That man is 63 years old, bro.
wild.
He's running a 4.140. Okay,
That's what happens when you're small.
Bless your heart.
Yeah. This whole idea that like you put a black man in a dress,
Sure,
it's a humiliation tactic. Is that's something that's silly to me. Man, I think that comes from like homophobia in the community. It doesn't. It's for comedy.
It is. It's miscategorized. I would say it's not a. I wouldn't say a black point of view. It's a certain machismo point of view. It's a I'm masculine and this is how I feel about it point of view. And when you look at it that way, don't matter your color or your culture, there's a certain type of guy that's like, you wear a dress, ew, yucky, you're less than masculine. Because in every single culture, the Japanese culture, kabuki theater, is guys in dresses all day. How many white comedians? Robin? However many.
So many.
And black comedians too. Mm-hmm. Martin Lawrence. Mm-hmm. You're gonna tell me the same people that are casting shadows on men in dresses don't have all 4 seasons, 5, 6 seasons of Martin on DVD? Still don't consider him way up there? Get out of here, Martin. Not Martin, but Eddie Murphy. Pick somebody. And as a matter of fact, the people. Eddie Murphy.
What movie?
What movie didn't he?
The
Clumps, the goddamn Norbit.
We're talking about older Eddie Murphy.
I'm talking about still exists Eddie Murphy. Yes.
All right.
Yeah. So, but no, but I agree with you that now look, wearing a dress. If you're a macho kind of guy, yeah, you're gonna have a problem with that. But if you're in the realm of comedy, there's a lot of things that you do in comedy that don't make sense outside the context of comedy. Yeah. So if wearing a dress is what's in the thing, and you say I'm never gonna do it, you're acting. You're playing a role, playing a part. Especially if it's literally an acting role. If that's what it calls for, and they're cutting you a check, and you don't have a problem with it, go for it. Like if you feel like it's impeding on your masculinity, don't do it. Like, but I don't. You're not gonna make me feel some kind of way about it. Like so. Mm-hmm.
I guess I don't like the implication that he's making that if you are specifically a black man and you do that you've been swallowed up by the Illuminati. That's something that was one of the few things in his rant that I was like, that's silly.
One of the geniuses of Cat Williams is that he perfectly understands his audience. And his audience is primed to hear that. His audience is primed to hear about the Illuminati. His audience is primed to hear about dirt. His audience is primed to hear allegations of XYZ person. That's what they're showing up for. It was amazing to me, the people that were coming up going, hey, man, did you hear that Cat Williams thing? I'm talking literally, I'm thinking of a specific 60-plus-year-old bar-owning Greek man that I happen to know, and I'm playing pool with him, and he was like, hey, did you catch that Cat Williams thing? He is the furthest removed demographic from Cat Williams on planet Earth, and he knew what was up, and he was entertained by it. And if you look at it as far as entertainment, great value. Yeah. Humongous value in it. If you're looking at it as far as truth, then okay, you're his audience, and he was speaking directly to you, and you didn't find a lot of things funny. You found a lot of things true, and you see other people laughing like, what's so funny about comedians in dresses? What's so funny about Steve Harvey's fake hairline? You know what I mean? Like the Illuminati airbrushed his fucking taper. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're taking it dead serious. Yeah. If you're a comic and you're telling me about flat earth theory, I'm gonna laugh. I'm gonna be like, oh, that's entertaining. If you got an entertaining look, there's gonna be someone in the audience going, yeah, speak your truth, brother. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean. I think on some of the stuff he was saying, It's been a little bit since we sat and had a discussion.
Yeah, absolutely.
I always enjoy talking to you.
Yeah. I just got the stew at the crib hooked up, so we're running this
I can't
back.
wait to ruin another podcast. Talk about race.
No, absolutely. I mean, we do this without the cameras.
This is true. But it's one of the things I'm working on myself with this is I don't like to fuck up the vibe with it.
Okay.
Like if everyone's having fun, I don't want to be the guy that's like, by the way, brothers and sisters, see, I don't appreciate it. Like, if some people are just, we're all hanging out and joking.
Yeah.
The guy that brings that.
You don't want to bring out the Denzel finger?
But during the pod, I felt like I was a little bit of that guy. I felt like I was a little bit, because we were talking about the people falling off of boats or cruises and shit, and I'm bringing in this heavy shit, and it is just how I think, but I also I'm trying to not how I think doesn't need to be pressed upon everyone in every situation. Is how I look at it.
Did you ever see that? You ever used to watch South Park?
I watch it on repeat.
You still watch? So there was one episode they were talking about politics, and they were like, this one person complained, and one person represents 1,000 people, which means 10,000 people complained, and if 10,000 people complain, that represents 1,000,000 people that don't like the thing. Like you're a comic, and you go on stage and you get a response for your points of view and the things that you say, and you get a guttural, primal response from human beings, which is laughter. You don't have to teach a baby how to be hungry, sad, love, or laugh, or cry. These are primal things. So for you to get a response in the things that you say, the way you think is representative of the way X amount of people feel and also think, and they can identify with you, whether they feel for or against your point of view. So when you come on my podcast, and what I love to do with my podcast is try and bring together people that may not normally sit down and have a conversation, just because I like that shy gumbo. Yeah. So when you get on there and say the things that you say, I love the fact that you are representing the thought process and the mind states of X amount of people. When Cat Williams gets on there and he says the things that he says, I love that he gets on there and he's representing X amount of people. So when I run into these people and they have their point of view, oh, who is that? Joe Rogan? I don't much watch him. When he was first on and he was still the underdog, I probably watched him more. I really don't watch his stuff now. But, I mean, he's a captain of the industry. And he has that one guy, Eddie Bravo or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Conspiracy, the emperor of conspiracy, right?
Yeah.
And somebody like myself, when I sit and watch him talk, I don't hold great value or truth in the majority of the things that he says. What I do hold great value and truth in is that he represents X amount of people. For me to watch him and go, this dude he's something else, he's goofy. There's somebody else out there that I might work with, I might get my coffee from, I might be employed by, that is watching him and going, why is everybody laughing at him? Mm-hmm. He's the only one that knows the truth. And I have to live in the same world with those people as well. So, I mean, I hold value in just about anybody's point of view because we're all in this game together.
It's a very beautiful sentiment.
It is, but
I don't know if you can feel my hesitation to it's funny because I love everything you say in theory.
Okay.
I love the well, just to the parts I agree with is point of view and perspective. Mm-hmm. I think my best episodes here have been the people that have had very intense point of views, whether I agreed with them or not.
Yeah, that's the most fun.
There's one, and I brought it up for a few. I haven't brought it up in a minute, but I'm gonna bring it up now. Is Matthew Doyle Perez's episode? Do you know Matthew Doyle Perez?
Of course I do.
Okay. He believes things that I don't necessarily agree with.
Matthew Doyle Perez is a wild boy. For the simple fact that he makes sure that you say Matthew, Doyle, and Perez.
All three words. All three.
Yeah.
But his episode is surprisingly one of my favorites because
I'm about to take a look.
It was the most combative episode of the whole. Of every podcast I've done, and we're on like episode 150 something.
Congratulations on that.
Thank you. That thing is expensive.
That's what I'm saying.
That film. The film is expensive.
Yeah.
Spent a lot of money,
especially Polaroids, man.
Yeah. But he's one of my favorite episodes because the entertainment value of it. Because if nothing else, whether I completely disagree with his opinions and perspective, which I do, he has an opinion and perspective. And the ones, and obviously I'm not going to say anyone's names, but the episodes that were the weaker ones were the ones where people were like, okay. That's just, there's something boring about not having a perspective. But to the part that I push back on is like, I don't feel like we're all in this together. We're all in this together. If aliens come down and start blasting away, we're all in this together. But I don't feel that at all. I feel like I have my tribe, I have my people, I have the people I trust. Through recent experiences, I'm being careful with how I speak. Through recent experiences, my trust has been broken in a very deep way that has hurt me. And so I'm in this place of like, we're not all in this together. I'm with the people I fuck with.
Right.
And everyone else, I'm gonna keep you at arm's distance until you show me that you can be trusted.
Right.
Is how I look at it.
Yeah. I agree with you. I definitely agree with you to the extent that you got to be picky and choosy with your circle for sure. But I'm also not in it for that. Like, I'm not in it to find people to trust or to find people to rely on. That's, hey, if you join the journey, so be it. And if you pass by X amount of tests, but as you also alluded to, I'm old. Like, I don't just pick up friends the way I did when I was 6 years old in the sandbox. Like, oh, do you like Voltron too? Dope, we're best friends now. You know, like it's more choosy at this stage in my life, and I probably have my circle. But you know what? I'm lying a little bit. Like, I've been running into some really cool people lately, and starting to branch out as far as what my circle is. Now, as far as the circle is, how close you get to my mind, my thoughts, my goals, my values, my principles, can we build together? That's going to be a very tight circle for most anybody. As far as networking, until you show me that I can't operate with you on a mental or conversational level, I'll let anybody in. And we're in the comedy world. We're all goof. We all got a touch of the tism. It is work sometimes to talk with comedians, just because, you know, we're being comics. But my favorite people on planet Earth. So now, if you're in the world, my view, if you're in the world looking for people to trust and that is your goal, you are really setting yourself up for failure, because everybody's the star of their own movie. So why would you trust somebody to have your goals as a priority when they have their own goals as a priority? And the moment that you don't serve as fuel to their goal, why wouldn't they kick you to the side?
My thing, so I agree. I think I'm speaking more on the idea that of someone trying to take. It's one to me. It's one thing if I don't mesh with somebody, or we're just not clicking right. That's one thing, and it's another thing to pretend like we mesh.
Sure, yeah.
Or act as though there's a more malicious thing out there that I think I didn't take into consideration.
Oh yeah.
And then as I've gotten more comfortable in myself, in particular.
Okay.
Do not let me forget jujitsu, by the way. As I've gotten more comfortable in myself and I know who I am, I now know how to gauge better if I'm dealing with somebody who is doing that.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And I think that's a certain level of, no offense, a certain level of naiveness. What do they call it? Naivete. No, you French them off. That was the most light-skinned thing either one of us has said this entire year. Yo, I'm gonna name my granddaughter that. But but yeah, like the further you get into this, not only are you still gonna run into those people, you're gonna run into them at a higher caliber. Like the people that are revealing themselves like that at the level that you or I are at, we're running into yellow belt snakes at best.
So glad we use
Maybe an occasional blue belt snake, but those purple belts and black belts, they're out there and they're in like a few $1,000 suits with Ferragamo shoes on. Big offices, a Mercedes. They're still a snake. They just are super successful at it. And to learn the lessons that you're learning now from the people that you're around, because of course I've run into many of them on my path in this biz. And you're never not gonna run into that person. You're never not gonna run into the person that you just know that they have that racism, or they have that superiority complex, or they have that snake in them, or they have that narcissistic vibe. You will always see that person. They're just gonna get recast like Will Smith's mama in Fresh Prince, and nobody's gonna be like, wait a minute, you don't look like the Aunt Viv I remember from. Actually, I think the first episode they had light skinned Aunt Viv. They did do that. They did like, Aunt Viv, did you really?
Yeah,
But,
she used the word naivete. And
oh my God, it's like, Aunt Viv, you light skinned, ain't you? You been moon tanning?
They should have got another dark skinned woman. They really fucked up.
I mean, what can you do? But you're still gonna run into that person. They're just gonna, and the higher up you go. I was just at the Comedy Awards, the Chicago Comedy Awards. Yeah, the Comedy Gazelle Awards, right? There was a guy there that's pretty high in the success ladder that started in Chicago comedy, and I mean he's pretty up there as far as star status, network, people he's involved with, money that he's making. Right? Had a chance to talk to him after the show a little bit, and I was just like, bro, and at a certain time directly after the show, you would have thought it was Shaquille O'Neal handing out fucking turkeys like Nino Brown at Thanksgiving, right? Just a pool of people around this guy. And when I had a chance to talk to him like one-on-one, I was like, you know what, man, I saw you with like the most people around you after the show, but in my heart of hearts, I felt like you were probably the loneliest person there. And he was like, yeah, absolutely right, because I don't feel like I met a single person that night. I met intentions.
Can you break that down? I like that.
From what I gathered from it was that me and you, we walk into a room, we're meeting for the most part people. Now, some people's, their level of intention at our level is, maybe I can get on, maybe if, I have a good conversation with Aaron, I can get on his show. Or maybe I can get on, he has a show at Second City. Everybody go check out Aaron's, what's the Comedy Typhoon. Or maybe I can get on his podcast, and maybe I can, get a little bit more visibility, right? But at our level, no offense, it's not that intention is going to be what, 10%, 15, 20% at most, right? Where he is in his career, I would imagine when people are coming up to him, he's the baddest bitch at the bar.
Yeah.
And so when a guy comes up and says, hey, I just want to let you know that it's a very nice outfit on you. You have a very pretty face. Would you like a drink? If you're the baddest bitch at the bar, you think the intention of penis is at 98%. How many guys are just going to come up, say those nice things, drop you off a drink, and then go, all right, make sure you get home safe, and then leave, and then leave?
Right.
It's not going to be all that often. And so, like, for him, what I picked up from our conversation is that anymore these days, when he's meeting people, they're just after his vagina. He has to check his drink to make sure somebody didn't roofie him, so he doesn't wake up in the back of an Oldsmobile. You know what I mean?
I do, and it's sad. It's very sad. Okay. That intentions thing, the way you broke that down, I felt that. I felt that about this podcast and Comedy Typhoon.
Of course.
And the funny thing for me is, like, I know the level I'm at. And so I'm like, I don't know why. You're not going to get much from being on this. If you want to play this game, you can. Mm-hmm. But Mike, you know you're not gonna get nothing out of this podcast, but this conversation.
I get this incredible conversation. That's more
Thank you.
more valuable than its weight in gold.
Thank you. You trying to get in that vagina? Is that what you're doing? Huh? Think you're slick? Think I'm naive and Tay? You think?
Happily Tate. That's his stage name. Coming to the stage, Naivete Chase.
That's gonna be my South Side name.
Yeah.
Naivete. Hey, what up, niggas? I don't know nothing about the streets.
I'm so naive.
Yeah, that's my catchphrase. He's so naive. Fucking ridiculous. But you're here for the conversation. You've gotten to know me enough to know that this is what is gonna be.
Sure.
But maybe. The most views I get on this shit is about 100, and it's usually open micers watching the shit.
Sure.
So when someone is trying to pull that shit with me, in my head, I'm like, I don't matter, right? Like, I guess on some level, I'm flattered that you think I matter enough to try to trick me, but I just doesn't. It really doesn't matter.
But that's where I think you might be a little off. Is that they're not thinking about you. They're the star of their own movie, and you're volunteering to film them. Why would they not?
Right.
You or whoever else. And here's the other trick, is that right now you're the underdog. And we're all, yay! The moment that your subscribers get up to 5,000, 10,000, and I call you because I got some important thing that in the movie of Mike Knight, it's the biggest thing in the world, and I need to go on. Who is it? Aaron Chase? Oh, he's popping right now. Let me call him up. I did his show twice, and then right now you go, like you can't get to my message right away. Your fucking DMs are boop, 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 boop. I call you and I'm like, yo, I need XYZ date. And you're hey, I ain't got it, bro, but let me hit you back. I just need to check some scheduling. And you don't get back to me for 3 days, 5 days, a week and a half. Now all of a sudden, that nigga Aaron Chase is really on some naivete shit right now. Yo, he changed, man. Yo, he different. Now we got him a couple of few subscribers and he's all naive and shit, yo.
Yo, can I say that it made my palms sweaty, the idea of that. Like, I'm not going to self-sabotage myself. I understand that this is the game. I understand that as you move up in levels, it's just going to get harder and harder in a different way. But on some level, I've come to, that's why I think I was saying this before, I'm appreciating the journey now because I know that it's not going to ever be the same.
No.
It's like when that first time I moved to Chicago, when I first
I remember.
I was everything. The CTA.
Oh, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed.
Everything was dope and crazy and different. And now I'm like, it's winter.
Yeah. You make it through 2 Chicago winters and you different.
and I'm like, and then, I have this apartment. I've been here for 2 years. I'll probably be here another one. And I'm like, oh, I need to cherish this apartment. Because one day I'm going to not have the apartment anymore.
Be a miserable millionaire.
Yeah, I don't want that. Jesus, like that terrifies me. I want to continue to be happy in the pursuit, and I'm trying to learn how to do that while now engaging with this new factor of people wanting anything from me. So yeah, that's where I'm at with that.
Yeah, hell yeah. And I mean, so now imagine that you are Michael Jordan, and your body does what every single body does on planet Earth and gets old. And you still, nothing got old about your desire, your drive, the fire, the will, the need. You just can't respond the way you. Now what do you do with that? You're an insane person. So now you have to go out there and bet 500,000 on a game of flipping quarters just to get that same
rush. What does Michael Jordan do? Does he owns a team, doesn't he?
He minds his fucking business. And he teaches his kids how to be the biggest scumbags on planet, to be the biggest, pettiest.
Do you think his kids have it? Do you think his kids have the thing?
No, not at all.
That's
not
weird.
at all.
You would think that's genetic. What is that?
Not at all.
What is that?
That's the other. So perfect example. This next likely presidential candidate coming from the right, right? I think a lot of people like to say, "Oh man, he came from XYZ." Oh, he came from money or whatever, right? Or you take Elon Musk. Oh, he came from money. The chances of you coming from money and then making it to the top or maintaining that money or triplicating that money, quadrupling that money, just holding on to the money are so much smaller than if you come from nothing and then make it. Like, I'd tip my hat to anybody that comes from a family of wealth
and fights to keep it.
Not only fights to keep it, but makes their own stand. The chances of a Michael Jordan's kids going to however many basketball camps, learning from the great, and actually, to be honest, how often was he around to really be directly involved in their lives at every practice?
He was playing with his fake kids in Space Jam, which. Can you imagine that Michael Jordan's your dad and you never get to see him, and then you have to see him on screen?
Could you imagine if Michael Jordan's your dad and he spends more time with Sean Bradley and Muggsy Bogues than you?
I would have a complex.
In your formative years? Hell yeah. Imagine that. You grew up with everything, and the chances of you having a complex are incredibly high. They have a show I watched on YouTube called The Men That Made America, which I don't even know if you're allowed to say that title safely. You might get demonetized.
All right, I'm gonna call you out on this. No. All right. You think you can't say the Men of America? You think it's that bad in terms of policing?
Absolutely.
Really, I disagree.
I think a growing number of people out there, you can't take a hardline stance on anything.
Well, I think you can. They're just gonna be upset.
Yeah, and usually the people that are upset, irrationally upset, are the loudest voices.
I agree. Okay, yes, I agree there.
I have never Yelped. I've never I've had my food not make it at all, and I've never gone on Uber and been like 1 star. I don't don't review. I'm not a reviewer, and I think the people that are like those are the people that leave reviews, and I check reviews. I need those people in the world, but I think they're disgusting.
We're about to do a flip on our. I'm so excited for this moment.
Okay.
People like that, I don't really. I feel bad for them because I think that you have to be a very angry person on the inside to get upset at you. Say, what was it? The Men of what is it? The Men of
America.
The Men of America.
The men that built America.
The men that built America. If you hear that title or whatever, and you need to type a comment in, of all things, this podcast, how much anger is in you? And I mostly feel bad for them.
Yeah.
I think the point where it gets concerning is if that type of person has power.
Sure.
I don't even know if I made a point or not. I was just talking.
No, but they do have power.
Who is they?
They is the collective. They are not a hard set group of people. You're not going to have a consistent name for they. If you're talking about they that, control like sure. Yeah, but if you're talking about them, you can call them Larry Fink. You can call them Larry Fink is the CEO of Blackwater. So he has a controlling interest in, I don't even remember, a large number of the Fortune 500 companies. Him and Blackwater, they're a huge conglomerate. And they, between them and I forget is George Soros, they are the ones back behind putting out DEI scores that go into corporate America, diversity, inclusion, and it's like equity or some shit like that. But the DEI that goes into corporate America, that's the one that says you have to have an X amount of black people, gay people, the handicapped people.
Think that's wrong?
I think forcing anything in a capitalist society, which we live in, which is a meritocracy. I don't want you to force a Cambodian woman to be an airplane pilot because we need to have diversity in the cockpit of an airplane. I think.
Sorry.